Thank you, everyone. Welcome to join our panel discussion. So our today's discussion topic is from 0 to 1 million. What an impressive title. And if you stay here, you will gain the secret how to grow your project from 0 to 1 million. So I think back to the 15 years ago, I'm still a programmer. Actually, I really want to create tools for developers to increase their productivity, to contribute to the community. But that's not easy. I create several of projects. It's to be honest, it's all field. Nobody want to join to contribution to grow it bigger. So we are very happy to invite Jeffrey, Dana, Haoran here and to share the project success, the key success factors, and to give you suggestions if you going to build your projects. You have ambitions to grow your projects from 0 to 1 million. So can you please introduce you a little bit more and share the projects or product you represent, and also what makes the projects or products make it unique in the developer community. Maybe we can start from Haoran.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Haoran. Currently, I'm leading the team for the whole big data and AI preceding solution architects in the Alibaba Cloud International. So I have over about 15 years experience in this area. And actually, you may also know that actually Alibaba Cloud and the Alibaba Group, it just accumulate their experience based on the evolution in the past several years. So I think maybe today I would like to share three main projects. One is about the database, and second is for the big data, and third is about AI. So generally speaking, for the database, we know MySQL is a very simple open source project, but it also has some bottlenecks for during the scale up. And during that time, we should have some data sharding skills to do that. So that's why in Taobao, that is also famous e-commerce, what we have. So we have a project, we call it TDDL, stands for Taobao Data Access Library. This is also open source one. Second is after we have the data warehouse, we have the big data parts, so we also consider to ingest all of the data, integrate the data into the data warehouse. So that's why we have another open source project, we call it Kernel. If you know that, that is also famous ETL tools. And in the same time, after all, you have to transform the data processing system from the batch processing into the stream processing. So that's why if you know Flink, so also developed by Verican, now that is also the subsidiaries in Alibaba Cloud. And final, last but not least, is we also transform from the big data into AI. So we also have a now very popular open source project that is Tongyiq1. And in the past sessions, we also mentioned we keep increasing the downloads and also the community to let all of the developers, you can use it, you can do the fine tune of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Rana, Rana Banerji. I started as actually an engineer and then worked in consulting and in the data management space for a long time. And essentially now I lead a company called ClickHouse in the ASEAN region. And ClickHouse, if many of you know or don't know, it's actually a high performance database. It's an analytical OLAP style database, but it's also one of the fastest growing database projects, open source projects globally. And in the last few years, it's actually quite exponentially grown globally as well. So now we're hitting a lot of the growth factors, but why I think it's very important for the Indonesian market and developers in particular is because it's got a unique ability to kind of compress petabytes of data or massive amounts of data and compress it really efficiently and then be able to kind of uncompress it when a query is run. And it does so really efficiently so that the hardware or the compute footprint is really small, which basically means it's cost effective. So if you're thinking of an analytical database that's faster, cheaper, better, that kind of fits into what ClickHouse does really well. And happy to share more about ClickHouse in the following questions as well.
Okay, I'm Jerry and from the Elastic. And do you know, I think a lot of people here may use the Elasticsearch because the Elasticsearch is a very, very famous open source project for many years. And the unique thing for the Elasticsearch is it is #1 search engine for the enterprise. Actually, for many years, especially for, you may heard the DB engine rank. It will rank the relational database or the search engine database, and we rank #1 for many, many years. And actually, Elasticsearch is a real project from the 0 to the over 1 million or trading actually for it. So latest we download over 4 billion overall download from the global. So it is a very, very huge download. Even on the GitHub, I think we are the top activity project in the community. So I think why Elasticsearch is so unique is it resolves the very, very basic requirement for everyone, because the search is a really basic requirement in every application. For example, when you search in the Grab and a lot of applications, a lot of search functions are accomplished by the Elasticsearch. So this is why Elasticsearch is so unique for every developer. This is the main driven why Elasticsearch becomes so popular. And another thing is, for example, the high performance and the very active community is also very important thing for the Elasticsearch. So I think later I will share more about why it's become so successful.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. It's definitely you're sharing a very key message is if you want to make your project success, key you may start from the very basic requirements, right? So definitely being a developer, definitely use the Elastic products, Elasticsearch, use a ClickHouse. For sure, I'm an Alibaba employee. I use our product as well. So we know now those products is become so success. A lot of users. But how did the project start? And what are the initial challenges that the team was facing in the very beginning? I want to be hearing more on this from your point of view. Maybe we start from Jerry this time.
Okay, start from me. Yeah, Elasticsearch is really good in this area. I should think the top one is the requirement from the developer. This is the very, very start thing to make your success. Because you, from the beginning, Elasticsearch, before the Elasticsearch, actually we have the Lucene. Lucene is a search library at that time. And the Solar do some even further. They wrap the Lucene library and make it RESTful. This is make Solar very, very popular at that time. But it have something missing at that time, because this is the second thing is time. What time was Elasticsearch start? It is, I think, the start of the big data. Because at that time, Google released 3 papers to make fund the big data in this area. And Elasticsearch follows the paper from the Google and make the search distributed architecture from that time. And this advanced architecture make the Elasticsearch more popular from the start. So this is a very 2 key thing at that time. And the last thing I should mention is you need to discover the requirement from the developer. especially their feedback for your product. You have many things to do that. When you release your software, on the GitHub, you can see some the issue raised on that, some requirement on that. Then you can correct a lot of real requirements from the community. This is very, very important. The idea is not enough for your success. The real feedback from the users is more important. So lately, a lot of features are driven by the real user feedback. For example, the aggregation framework from the Elasticsearch is just fulfill the customer requirement. They want to not only to do the search, but they want to do the calculation on the search result. So I think this is the three very key things from the Elasticsearch success.
Yeah, I would just add to what Jerry's saying, because he's hit a couple of really important points there as well. But to just take you a little bit back to ClickHouse, how it started. ClickHouse actually started in Russia, and it actually was an internal use case for a company called Yandex. And Yandex was kind of like the Google of Russia. And the problem that Alexei, who's now our CTO, actually solved there was really looking at being able to do reporting and analytics, but at an internet scale. So imagine petabytes of data and serving this data in terms of query response times within milliseconds. And that was the original problem that he kind of solved, and he started to gain a lot of traction within Yandex itself. So then Yandex, what they did was actually saw the potential of this internal project and then open sourced it in 2016. And what we found there was that from 2016 till now and even growing beyond this year, it just got a wide audience adoption. So across multiple industries in FSI and telco and digital natives and so forth, folks just started downloading the product, playing around with it, testing it, and really taking benefit from the product itself. So that kind of increased the open source adoption for ClickHouse globally. Now, with that comes also some challenges, especially as a company. When we look at the open source community, we don't really know who's downloading this software. We don't know how they're using it. We actually don't know what's happening. So as an organization, we had to really be intentful how we capture this information and actually doing meetups and engagement and generating a lot of content that could then be digested by the masses. And that was a really good process to kind of gather the open source knowledge and build a community. But what we found as the real benefit out of that was that the community-driven innovation that came, and similar to Jerry's point, the real-world use cases were fantastic in the development of ClickHouse as a product. And it's essentially made it stronger and stronger over the last few years because we've incorporated all of these features into the product itself.
Yes. So let me continue the 4 projects in the past. Actually, we have to starting from the very beginning. So that's why Alibaba Cloud has some virtualization, has some capabilities and also technology. This is also because that is the enterprise driven. That is about based on the business needs. So, our first business is Alibaba B2B business and also Taobao for the C2C. So during that time, because we have the dramatic transaction increasing, so in very beginning, for the traditional database, even just for the single instance, it cannot control such high concurrency workload. So that's why what I just mentioned before, TDDL is used for the table sharding and database sharding, which means because when you would like to use a scale up, even just in the single machine, it has only about 160 cores. It cannot even host such higher workloads. So we have to consider to use distributed methodology. We use the different instances together to do as the separated sharding database and sharding tables. So during that time, you have to understand how to separate the tables in business level. So that's why we use the middleware, also use it as open source to make sure all of the tables could be separated very easily based on the enterprise business logic. So afterwards, we separate into the separated tables and use the concurrent tables to work together so that we can handle such high transactions. However, afterward, you have to do the analysis based on the different database types. You may have MySQL, you may have SQL Server, Oracle, IBM, or even some others. So you have to consolidate all of the data together to solve the data silos. So during that time, if you just use a single data sync tools, you can only synchronize one cans of the data types. So that's why today we have the kernel, we have DataX to digest the different data types together and with the sharding table scenarios. So you can easily to configure with a couple of tables, but with the same logical tables. So that's why today we involve the DataX. Maybe I also see many of the companies that will also use this as a prototype to build their own tools for the ETL of their data warehouse systems. So during that time, the batch processing is maybe the most popular skill sets and all of the reports that is T+1. However, for the Web3, for the financial, for the risk control, we need the real-time risk control capabilities and the real-time processing to understand what the transactions that happens just right now. So with even the Hive or even some other batch processing technologies, it cannot solve this kind of enterprise needs. So that's why today we involve Flinks to digest all the data in real time, also do the calculation, to do the summary, to do the real-time processing after that. So that's why today we have the Flink CDC. We use that to replace the previous ETL tools like Kernel or some others. That is also using the change data capture to capture different kinds of the data source, like Kafka or MySQL, of course, and maybe some others. So after that, there is another new business needs comes that is about customer service. Because with the high transaction, then we have the high tickets as well for the post-sale scenarios. So with the human beings, they have the manual tickets to support, but that is the increasing human cost. So that's why we have our demo academy to build the NLP, the deep learning, and our own large models, even far before the transformer comes. So we also have our own prototype. We call it the M6, we call it the Alice Mind, and we also publish the prototype into the GitHubs. And finally, just in the past 2 years, the GPT, the Llama also go to the open source. So we are confident that we can also provide our own pre-trained models. So that's why we have the Q1. And now we have, QWQ, QVQ, and so on. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your idea and your. We know that along with product growth, it's facing a lot of challenges. You are making the different strategies. So far, still one key message is missing. Key thing is missing for growing successful projects. So how you attract the developers to join the community to support your software? How did they know your product, right? So this is I'm really curious about. Just like Haoran said, even for a big organization, incubate the projects, it's still facing a lot of challenges. So what happened? What is your strategy? So yeah, if you can sharing a little bit.
Okay, I think when you start a project, you first thing pay attention is the GitHub itself. If it is the open source project, I think GitHub is a real good place to communicate with your seed users. These seed users are very important for your project, and they have passion to use your product, even it is not so good enough. And they have passion to give your feedback and their requirement and help you to fix your problem. These seed users are very, very good things for you start a project. And beyond the GitHub, you may need to set up other communication channel. For example, forum, discuss forum, or the Slack channel to group these users for further discussion, because even the GitHub is not enough for you all to discuss deeply with your community. So you need more things for that. And after these two initial steps, I think you need to promote your product in other opening events. I remember our founder, Shai Bannon, they promote Elasticsearch in the Berlin buzzword. It is offsite forum at that time. They will present our product to all the community. This is also very important for that. And lately, I think you can make some meetup. It will not happen very early stage because you have not enough users to join your meetup. But after you have already accumulated a lot of users, meetup is a very good help you to develop to this in your community. And even these steps, I should lastly mention to you that actually, if you want to make your product more popular, I think you should focus on the product itself. You know, even you have all these methods to promote your product, the most powerful thing is your product itself. If your products are very useful and very easy to use and can resolve the problem from the developer, those users will promote your product by themselves. This is the most important force for make your success. This is the most important thing. Focus on the product itself.
So Rana, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, look, I'll echo the thoughts that Jerry was just mentioning. And one key thing to add first, I think, before embarking on an open source project is probably to get the focus around your open source commitment. And the key part of that is I think, in choosing the Apache licensing that you want to have. So there's foundation licensing, and then there's Apache 2.0 licensing is what we use at ClickHouse. And it's important to get that right. And then it's important to really figure out how you're going to be transparent with the community. So a big part of ClickHouse, what we do is we have our product roadmaps shared as a community. We basically show our feature sets and take votes on the features within the community. We then take that feedback and incorporate it into our review sessions, technical review sessions. And then also our CTO actually goes on a monthly release call to share the releases that are happening in the community project and the product on a monthly basis. For the CTO's time is really important because we've got a very strong commitment to the open source community. So I think that's the first part to really start with. And then after that, similar to Jerry's points, I think it's the content and the communications that are very important as you promote the project. So the content, we take a lot of time and effort to create really good documentation, because that's often the first time a user will actually interact with the project. They'll look at the documentation. Then there's a lot of blogs and meetups where we try and do engagement and so forth. And similar to Elastic, we also have channels like GitHub and Discord and Slack so that users can actually provide feedback. We do surveys to get that engagement of information. And then really we focus on the use cases and actually sharing the use cases across the globe. So if we're doing meetups in one country, we want those use cases to be kind of shared across other geographies, because that diversity of the community and that community-driven kind of innovation is something that we really hold very deeply. And then when the next generation of folks use the product, they know that getting the best of 10 years of research and development and fixes and bugs in the product that they're actually going to start out with. So the quality of the product is very important, similar to Jerry's point.
Yeah. So lastly,
Okay.
Haoran give some
So I think I would like to use 3 words to summarize it. That is time, needs, and flexibility. So maybe I just let's just talk about the first two words, time and needs. I would like to echo Jerry's comments. Actually, how we promote open source projects into the community is not about how we promote it, it's about how it is useful. So which means if the developers thinks this one can really solve one of the specific problems, definitely they will consider to use, rather than you have to let everyone know, okay, this is an open source project. So the reason why we won't use maybe some other legacy or maybe existing projects or maybe even licensed softwares, this is because of current, we cannot wait this software to do the iteration to meet our customer needs. So for example, if there is one project, it has maybe half a year or even 1 year to prioritize your needs. You cannot wait because your business is still keep growing. So that's why you maybe consider to create a new open source project and then to meet your needs directly. And maybe for the developers, they think, okay, yeah, your project can directly meet my needs. I just use it. Then it can also fasten my business process as well. So we also would like to provide the flexibility in the same time so that everyone have the opportunity to continue fine-tune it. Maybe it has some bugs, but for the even creator, they don't have time to solve these bugs. So for the developers, because that is, you can see the source code, you also have the capability to do the revise, then you just fix the bug directly, or you even do the enhancement based on these open source projects. So today we also provide the community, in globally, the Hugging Face previously they also mentioned, but in China, Alibaba Cloud also hosts another open source platform, so we call it Model Scope. So that is also open source model platforms, similar like the worldwide Hugging Face. We also invite all of the open source projects and models to be uploaded together, and you can also do the demos based on it, and you can even to do the fine-tunes based on it. So because we have the openness based on this kind of community, and we also, today we also announced the hackathons, so that we invite all of the developers to think about how to use this new projects, open source projects, new technology for the Q1 or for some other AI related to develop or create a new business scenarios or help the new scenarios. Actually, I'm the manager for the first hackathons in Indonesia 2 years ago. So I still remember there are so many students, graduates from universities or some startups that think about how the generative AI and how they leverage the Q1 to build, enhance their business. And now this is already the third time. And I'm also very excited that more and more developers, they consider to use the Q1 as the open source models to build and have their business. And that is also why today we host this developer summit to invite all of the developers to think about and share their insights and talk about what we can do together to help and build a maybe better future. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. So I think people are joining our panel. They gain a lot of knowledge and your solid experiences how to grow in open source projects, utilize open source community to with your own projects per that. Hope maybe in future we can use someone sitting here is develop a superstar projects. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating in this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rocky Liu, for moderating this illuminating session. And now let us take a group photo together. We ask everyone to please kindly stand together for a group photo session. And kami persilakan kepada teman-teman fotografer untuk mengabadikan momen ini. So ladies and gentlemen, that was our second panel discussion on building a popular project for developers. Thank you very much, Mr. Rocky Liu.